So I wanted to talk about some of the crimes committed against me. So aside from the torture, the physical torture and the psychological torture, I want to talk about some crimes that were committed against me and that have been just covered up, mostly by law enforcement. And even, they've even deleted evidence from my devices and things like that. And that's the police doing that, by the way. And the reason I want to do this is that people, so that people don't get the idea that this is just one kind of abuse. You're not going to believe what has just happened. If you're somebody who watches my videos, this happened the other day. Now, as you know, I've just literally started recording. They've turned on the emergency light, the flashing emergency light again. Okay, I'm going to turn it off and come back. Okay, I just turned it off. You see, this is psychological torture, okay? Because they are letting me know that they know that I'm doing this video. You understand? And it's a threat, really. They're telling me they don't like it and that I'm going to pay for it, that kind of thing. And for example, the other day when I posted one of their operatives who were, it was a gang stalker posing as a TI, and I outed him on Facebook. Shortly after that, they started hitting me in the head very severely with the ELFs, okay? So I get punished for this, all right? But I want to do this video because to make it clear that this is organized crime in many different ways, okay? And actual basic normal crimes are being committed, as well as, being tortured and hit with directed energy weapons and all of that stuff. There are also basic crimes being committed against targeted individuals that are covered up by corrupt law enforcement mainly, and also by corrupt mental health services. Because, well, look what's happened to me. They're basically trying to convince everyone that I'm a pathological liar or completely crazy or just evil, Anyway, let's talk about some of these crimes. There are so many, so I'm not going to get them all done in one video, okay? Let's talk about arson. And I want to talk about arson because recently, a few days ago, you may have seen the video, the gang stalkers, the local gang stalkers here in Lake Arthur, Louisiana, where I live, were throwing fireworks at my home and caused damage to the cover of one of my water barrels. It's clearly burnt, or rather melted, because I think it's made of some kind of plastic. And that could have been an arson attack if it had made something catch fire. So the first instance of arson that I can remember was when I was living in Malaga, Spain. All sorts of horrible things were happening there, and it's difficult for me because it's all very, very traumatic, okay? But regarding the arson, so I was living in the most beautiful place you can imagine. It was a neighborhood called El Palo in Malaga, right by the beach, where all the fishermen had built their little cottages, basically, and all the lampposts were the old-fashioned wooden ones, and they were beautiful. Okay, they were part of the quaintness of the whole area. And one of the gang stalkers lit a fire right at the base of one of these lampposts, which happened to be right outside my house. Now, I actually saw him running away. And I want to talk about this because I recognize, no. Let's rewind. I want to talk about this because I've seen this particular man twice that I know of. So I saw him running away, and he was wearing grey clothes, and he was a skinny man in his, I believe, 20s, and he had dark hair in a page boy cut. I mean, that's what I remember because it wasn't fashionable at the time. Okay, it was a page boy cut, like girls have, you know. And I saw him running away. But the result of that was that all these beautiful, posts were all taken out, and these horrible metal things that looked like 5G towers were put in, instead. I mean, it was such a shame, and I just, anyway, that's just part of the tragedy of it all, And then this is what I wanted to say, that same man, this is very traumatic for me, okay? So just keep that in mind, please. I am sure that I saw that same man in Texas, in the rest area right outside Houston when I was on my way. I had already arranged to meet Richard Lighthouse from Targeted Justice. That's a whole other story. But what I want to say is that they had done, the gang stalkers, that day in Texas. Now I'm talking about Texas, not Malaga. In Texas, they had set up a whole day long street theaters, one after another. And what they did was they had sabotaged my vehicle, which was a brand new Chrysler. And it wasn't mine, it was a hire car, okay? They had sabotaged it like they do with with all of my vehicles, really. And they did it so bad that it couldn't be, because normally it, after I believe it's an ELF attack or an EMF attack, I don't quite know what it is, but it's something that cuts out all the electrics, but usually a jump start will get it going again. But in this case, they completely destroyed it, so it had to be towed away. And I was waiting there from 7 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, when they towed me to one of their depots, where they gave me a different vehicle to continue, because I still had, I think I'd hired it for like 2 weeks or something like that. So and this is very difficult for me, okay? This is what I want to say. They were sex trafficking me, so there's another crime. They were doing that in Malaga, okay? And then also that day in Texas, that whole setup was to sex traffic me, okay? And I'm not sure, in Malaga, I think they had hidden cameras in my apartment, in my little house that I had there. But I also do think that they were streaming me through my, maybe through my phone, or the other possibility is that they had infrared cameras, or those kinds of cameras that, you know, that can just see through the wall. I've just seen a video about it on TikTok that the police have now, okay? And I know that's a distinct possibility because I remember hearing these people's voices outside my home, and they were coming from a building behind my house that I thought was an abandoned building, okay? But then in Texas, in the rest area, so that would have been just maybe a day or two before I met Richard Lighthouse. So I can find out that date. And also because the hire company will have a record of that. But what they did to set up this, to try and set me up for sex trafficking, was that I had driven from Florida, okay? I'd arrived in Florida and I had driven from Florida. And they had set up a street theatre there with a young man. I'm trying to think of his name. Well, either by mind control or because I'm just too stressed. I can't remember right now. But I had gone in to buy an SD card, I think, or something in I think it was Walgreens, maybe. I can't remember exactly, but he was the cashier. And and he took my number and kind of pretended that he was interested. But, you know, this is a man of about 20. And I was at that time in my 50s, all right? And, yeah, I probably do look a bit young for my age, but not that young, okay? This was a setup, and I wonder if he was, I don't know his actual age. Maybe they were trying to set me up to you know, with somebody underage or something. I don't know. But you see, this is not something that, you know, I'm a torture victim. I came here for asylum and justice and not to date, okay? I mean, it's incredible. These people are just unbelievable. Anyway, it's making me very, very, it's very stressful and traumatizing, okay, to tell this story. But what they did was they got this guy to send dick pics, okay, as I was sitting there. And I think what they wanted was for me to masturbate. That's what they were trying to achieve. And I just want to say here, you know, they can do that with mind control, don't you? They have done that to me before. It's called forced masturbation, all right? You see, this is very traumatizing to talk about. This is a violation of privacy too extreme. Okay, it's too extreme. And as I was reading these messages from this guy, I felt something made me turn around, and it wasn't a noise. I think it was my intuition was telling me. And when I turned around, there was a grey vehicle, I remember it was grey, and it was a little bit like the one I had with like a large area at the back. I don't know how to explain it. SUV, I think, is the kind, but it was kind of square. It's hard to explain because I can't really remember exactly. But in the back of this vehicle, there were all these young men. And the first one, the one that was right facing me, I know was that same one that was in Malaga. And don't ask me how I know. I just know it. And he looked the same. I mean, he had the same, this page boy haircut. I think it was the same man. I believe it was the same man. And I looked right at him, and he kind of, it was a very weird look that he had. It was as if he kind of shrank, actually. He kind of shrank like being caught, somebody's been caught, like caught in the headlights kind of thing, okay? But there was something else there, and it was very strange. It was very strange. Okay, so we started talking about arson and ended up talking about sex trafficking, but okay. So, okay, that's 2 crimes. So I'm just going to continue. I'm just going to tell this as best I can, okay? There's a lot more involved in that story about the whole day I spent from 7 in the morning till 9 at night at the rest area right outside Houston. But I'm not going to go into that now, because right now I'm talking about crimes, and I'm talking about arson. So the second time that they committed arson was when I actually can't remember if I had just had the scan that found the implants in my body, or if I was on my way to have the scan. I can't remember which way round it was, but I had looked on the map and found that there was public land with a lake, and this was in Utah, outside Salt Lake City, okay? And it was a piece of land quite far outside. I mean, not like right outside the city, but quite a way out. And I had found out that I could camp on public land, including national parks, for 2 weeks. I had found that out. So I wasn't going to stay for 2 weeks, but it was a nice place to just hopefully get away from the gang stalkers, okay? And it was so beautiful, I'm telling you, it was so beautiful that I was crying because it was peaceful and beautiful, and there were people there, but because it was quite a big area, I managed to find places to park where they would more or less leave me alone. I mean, they would do everything they could to come and, disturb me, pretend they were having a car chase and things like that, to come really up close to me and make a loud noise and stuff like that. But in general, for most of the time, I managed to get some peace, which is really amazing for a targeted individual, okay? And of course, the gang stalkers didn't like this at all, because I was enjoying myself. There was the most beautiful lake, and I was swimming in the lake, and oh, I had the most amazing experiences there. But I was only there for maybe 3 days, I think it was, and then I know this was arson. They started a fire to make me have to leave. And that really needs to be investigated. I know it was arson, it wasn't an accident. This is the kind of thing that gang stalkers do all the time to stop the TI ever having any kind of peace, or God forbid, you know, actually having a nice time. They want to keep us in a state of extreme anxiety the whole time, okay? I think this is already too long, so I'm going to stop there. But there's a lot more crimes to talk about, and I will continue this.